West Cork Beard Company make beard oil and beard balm for a strong, healthy, great-looking beard. Handmade from all natural ingredients in Clonakilty, West Cork. Check out their YouTube channel for beard care tips and advice, or catch them online at westcorkbeardcompany.ie.
For Gooners everywhere, this is the ultimate football app for you. For match highlights, interviews, and the best Arsenal videos and podcasts. Download the free Gunners app now from the App Store and Google Play.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Welcome back to the Same Old Arsenal podcast. Hope you're all well. Welcome back to this special, the weekend before the Charity Shield. You know what I mean? The Charity Shield's coming up, the podcast before the Charity Shield. Special guest with us this evening. We have Mike from the Gooners pod. We have Graham. And we have Lee Judges somewhere. But as we all know, it takes a while for Lee to get his hair dry. I
was just about to say he's getting his hair cut right now.
When we're doing podcasts. So he'll be along shortly. Graham, how are you, sir?
Can I come in, Craig?
You can come in, mate. No problem.
Do you know what? It's a privilege to be on the pod, Gooners v Cancer podcast with Mike. A real privilege. But what I want to say to you, mate, is since we did that video on when we were the Champions, when we won the Cup 3 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
And I kept trying to get in. Because it's unusual to be on here with just at the moment, just the two of you, because we were crowded that night with 6, and I kept struggling to get in, and I kept saying, can I come in? And, and the thing about, and I think it was Lee when it said, is he outside his house or something? Is he outside his house? But that has followed me around now. It followed me around for weeks at work. People just keep saying to me, can I come in, Craig? It's sort of like, it's like a new catchphrase. I think you're going to have to do a T-shirt, mate. But it's great to be on tonight. And the worthy
Do you know what? I reckon that would sell as well. If I made a T-shirt, can I come in with your face on it? I reckon that would make a few quid, to be honest.
Make sure his mouth is open, though.
And obviously our special guest this evening, all the way from across the pond in the US of A, Mike from the Gooners pod. How are you, mate?
I'm doing lovely. Thank you so much for having me on, Craig. I've missed you. I'm glad you guys are back up and running, and it's just a pleasure to be on. You've always been good to us around this time of year when we do the fundraiser. So I'm thrilled to be asked on. Graham, you let people know that at your work that you do a podcast, because I would be mortified if anybody at my job found out that I did a podcast.
It's our pleasure to have you on, mate. Our pleasure to support this good cause. As you said, we love to support it every year, and I think we have done for the last few years, haven't we? So look, I'm going to hand it over to you to let there's nearly 100 of us, nearly 100 people watching already. Take it away, mate. Tell us what it's all about.
All right. Well, I have a few things there's a few different moving parts to this, so we can kind of do a segment about it and then move on to something a little bit more interesting, then come back to it if you'd like. Not to tell you how to run the show or anything like that. I could talk for hours and I don't want to do that.
You run it, mate. You run it. Now is your time. Go for it,
Gooners versus Cancer is my brainchild, and it started with, unfortunately, my father passing away of leukemia about 10 years ago. He struggled for 2.5, 3 years. It was not easy for him. He fought it and ultimately succumbed back in 2010. And, I always wanted to do something in his memory and to try to honor him and do something that would make him proud. And had the opportunity to begin that about 5 years ago with my work. The person I work with, his father also passed away of leukemia. So he started a fundraiser that was local here in the Washington, D.C. area. And a couple years later, we started this crazy podcast thing. We met people like you, Craig, and Graham, and a number of other people. And as small as it is, we realized we have a little bit of a platform and a gateway to a large amount of people who, generally speaking, are good, giving, loving people. I mean, we all know Gooners are loving people, unless you go on Twitter. But in general, Gooners are good people, very charitable. So about 3 years ago, we started Gooners versus Cancer, started very informally, collected money, donated it to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Now we are in our third full-on year of raising money directly to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, which is a very good charity that raises money for helping to find the cure for blood cancers. It supports families who are dealing with it right now. They played a huge part in my dad's comfort and support. So that's kind of the genesis of the charity. We were able to take advantage of Arsenal coming to the U.S. for their summer tour. We had 4 different cities in 10 days where we could do in-person fundraising. We had jerseys, kits, tops, whatever you want to call them, from Arsenal, retro kits that were signed by Arsenal players such as Kevin Campbell, such as Alan Smith, and a few others. And we're able to raise through that and other ventures about $16,000.
Wow.
About maybe, what's that, 12,500 pounds. And, that blew us away last year. This year, it's a different story, man. I mean, there's so many good causes right now and needing causes for your charitable money. We recognize that. The NHS, social justice causes, there's a lot of different things that deserve your money if you're going to be charitable. So, we recognize how hard it is. But if in the case that there's people who are looking for another charity to give to, or to whom have kind of a special connection to charities that help fight cancer, and everyone has a connection to cancer of some sort, we'd love your support. And the website is goonersversuscancer.com. You can also go to goonersvcancer.com. That also links to it for those of you who don't like to put the S in versus. I know it's a little different on one side of the pond than the other. So that's the background. And I can get into, a little later on, I can get into some of the ways that we're raising money, because we don't just like asking people for donations. We like leveraging our relationships with players, with the club, with podcasters, with other people to get interesting items that we can then auction off, so that when you donate, you're not just giving money just out of the goodness of your heart, but you're also having an opportunity to either do something fun, win something fun, buy something fun in exchange for that. And I'll go into a little bit more about that when we come back to it. But again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about it.
Absolutely, no problem, mate. So what we'll do is this evening, some people, when we do podcasts, are very, very kind. They send us super chats into the chat, and they donate to the podcast for me and Lee to have a Big Mac once a week. So I'd ask tonight, if any of you feel like that you want to send in a donation question, or that you want to send a super chat, don't. Send your donation straight to the link that is at the bottom of the screen, that is scrolling at the bottom of your screen now, whether it's going to be £1, £2, £3, £4, £5, however much.
There is no minimum, and there are no fees.
Excellent.
Because this isn't one where they charge you for part of your money. Yeah. You can use a credit card. It goes directly to the charity. If you're in an area where a donation to a U.S.-based charity will get you a tax deduction, that does qualify, and you get an email receipt of that. So I know that may be different, and I don't want to give tax advice on a podcast. So,
but absolutely not. But look, everyone's watching this podcast. If we all donated £1, we'd make a massive difference to the charity. So if we look, as the head of the podcast, £1 each. If everyone who's listening to this, if you're watching it on replay right now, if you're listening to it on SoundCloud right now, if you're listening to it on Spotify, on iTunes, I'll make sure that the link is in the description. Obviously, everyone can see it coming out. If we all donated £1, we'd make a massive difference.
Absolutely.
To the charity, and we'd really put a dent in that for Mike. We'll come back to that later on. Good evening to you all in the chat box. Lots of you there. Good evening to you all watching. Some of you on Facebook, some of you on Periscope, most of you on YouTube. And hello to you if you're listening to us on audio, on a replay. Well, you're not on a replay, you're listening to it live, because I would have just posted it. So it's live. It's not really a replay. But if you're watching it on YouTube and you didn't watch it at 8 o'clock, then it is a replay. So yeah. Hello if you're watching it on a replay. Graham, Lionel Messi's going to sign for Arsenal. No, I'm only joking. Oh, look out. Look, here he comes. Nice, and here he is. Look, his hair's dry.
Oh, hey!
Oh, there he is.
Hey!
sorry about that, but I've been doing my hair. You know what I mean?
That's all right. That's no problem. At least you came anyway. At least you came. That's great. So until we see you after the Charity Shield, let's hope for a good result. And until we see you then, till next week, take care of yourselves and each other. Look at him, look. He didn't know whether I was joking or not. Look at him. Did you see that little bit of doubt in his face then? Shit.
Hold on.
I've missed the whole thing. How are you, mate? You good?
Yeah, all good, like, all good. So I've dashed back from Wembley to be here for you guys. You know what I mean? So
what a life you lead.
What was you doing in Wembley?
I was just doing preview shows for the.
He can't remember the name of the channel.
And a Community Shield. Yeah, I don't want to mention the channel now. So it was obviously for AFTV, and so I've been doing that. So but I've got back in. So I said halfway through. I said, "Come on, speed it up." I said,
"You said 8 o'clock." To be honest, what's the time now?
1:15.
Yeah, well, so you're not on time. Anyway, Graham, let's crack on.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Graham. Sorry, Big Ben. Like old Graham there. Like,
you did say 8 o'clock.
Can I come in, sir?
Graham, can you come in? We're going to get some T-shirts made. We must be trying to be a little bit serious now tonight. We've done our drunken, silly rubbish
just
one.
signed my first card because it's my birthday Friday. Don't forget. There you go.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, judges. Happy birthday for Friday. Graham.
Thank you, sir.
The season is it's only 2 weeks away, mate. We had a pre-season friendly last night against the MK Dons, which we won quite comfortably. Of course, we would expect, no disrespect to MK Dons, of course, but we would be expecting to be winning that quite comfortably. The young lad...
We struggle with Wimbledon sometimes, though, don't we? I mean, it's a little,
I think.
Don't ever say that if you ever come to a... Don't ever say that to a Wimbledon fan when you come to England again, Mike. Don't ever say that.
I understand that, yeah.
Craig, there was some takeouts from the game last night, I thought.
There was. We'll come back. We'll come to them. Let's talk about now. How is it pronounced? Is it Saliba? Saliba. Let's talk about William Saliba. Looks pretty good, Graham, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I think the interesting thing to see is how he played. I thought he played as the right-sided centre back. I thought he was very composed in possession. I think the highlight of his passing was that fine pass that got Cedric Suarez in the build-up to Nketiah's goal. I thought he looked physically imposing. I thought he was quick to the ball. And I thought that he had a very decent start. And I think rightly we all wanted to see how he would play. I thought that there was some things I noticed last night, the way Arteta, he's sticking with his 3-4-3 at the moment, and that's going to be the big thing this season. Is he going to stick with a 3-4-3? I think all the time he hasn't got the central midfielders he wants. I think he likely is. So Saliba played on the right side, and I noticed him and the left-sided central defenders occupied the wide positions a lot to create angles for the passes in the midfield. I thought it was a very accomplished start, and I was very impressed by what I saw from him last night. And I think it, there were other factors I thought from last night's game. I was very impressed with Eddie Nketiah, actually, who's sort of I thought his hold-up plays improved from what I saw last year. And it's interesting that there's a lot of uncertainty around Laka at the moment. Is he going to stay? Are we going to move him on? We're interested to see if Nketiah can develop and be that playing that role, because obviously he was doing very well up to the end of last season, and Arteta went back to Lacazette for the semi-final against Man City in the final, and he was absolutely outstanding, Lacazette, in those two games. His work rate for the team. I thought Nketiah did well last night. I thought some of the academy players impressed. Smith Rowe and Nielsen looked good when they came on. I thought that Willock played well in that right wing back role. I was very impressed with Bola and Cottrell. I thought they were okay. And I think he sees a role this season for Emile Smith Rowe, Craig, because he's turned down.
I hope he does, because there was talks he's going out on loan.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to want to loan him out, does he? So I don't know yet what sort of role he sees for him. Whether he sees a role where he's going to be in the cups or in the Europa. But I think there was shades I saw last night in the way he sort of gets away from his marker, the way he drops his shoulder, the way he sort of like he's got that little turn of speed that takes him away from a player. And I think Arteta's renowned for developing players, isn't he? I think even I remember Reece Nelson saying that when he thinks Arteta can develop him into a really top player. And I think that's one of the things that Arteta, they talked about, the way he developed Raheem Sterling at Man City when he went in there. And I think he's got very good one-on-one relationships with players, and he's very good at developing players. He sort of seems to understand them, and they seem to trust him. And I think he sees potential in Smith Rowe. But I do think until we get, I'm having a bit of debate with a friend of mine at the moment what the role is going to be for Saka this season, because Saka, I think, is somebody who's can play in a hybrid role. He can play out wide. He can come central. He's got a lot in his locker. And I just wonder whether he's going to move Saka. He obviously wants to retain Ceballos and have him as that deep line conductor from deep. But I think if he switches to a 3-4-3, if he switches to a 4-2-3-1, or he's looking to change up from the 3-4-3, I think Saka will be in his thoughts. But overall, last night I thought there were positives. I think he wanted last night. He was looking at the players. He said, "I want to see if they're hungry again." He's not resting on his laurels, Mikel Arteta. He wants to see a reaction from the players pre-season. So that wasn't just a workout. And I think we took a lot out of that. Obviously, Liverpool is going to be a tough game on the weekend. Community Shield, they are top side. But I think he wants a reaction from the players. And I thought he had encouraging signs last night, Craig.
Absolutely. Lee, I wanted to talk to you about Arteta and something I was thinking about over the last few days. Is there a little bit of Arsene Wenger about Arteta? And I'll tell you why I asked that question. Remember when Arsene Wenger first came and there was this big culture at the club? The boys used to go out on the drink and curries after football. And, and Arsene Wenger came in and he stopped all that. And they were only allowed to drink this and they were only allowed to eat this and this, that and the other. Obviously, not as strict when Arteta has come in. But is Arteta changing again the culture of the club? After the last few years, we've seen quite a lazy culture at Arsenal. A few players there, sure, look, I'll just stay here now. I'm quite happy for my 150 grand a week. Is Mikel Arteta now the man that's come in and said, right, okay, yeah, all right, you're getting paid 150 grand a week, but if you're no good, then you're not playing? Is Mikel Arteta going to come in now and completely revolutionise Arsenal again?
Well, yeah, I think that he is. I think that if you look at our two successful managers before that, in Arsene Wenger and George Graham, they've done exactly that. There was a culture in the early 80s, mid 80s of, overpaid players, good players, by the way, but not quite performing as they should, and not getting the best out of them in the Terry Neal sort of era. There were some very, very good players at Arsenal then. And then George Graham come along and changed that all completely, and a different culture came in. And I see a resemblance with that with the young players as well that he had at his disposal, which he's bringing in now. And of course, when Arsene Wenger came in, he changed it again. And I think that with Arsene Wenger and a lot of the players, I think Tony Adams come to say this as well, that they were ready for change. They were ready to go down the route that Arsene Wenger was going to go down. Now, I think that these players are in the same sort of situation where I think they've underperformed. This not beating around the bush. We shouldn't be 8th in the league with the players that we've got. So there has been a lot of underachieving players in there, and I think that that's going to be stopped by Arteta. I think that he's already seen that. I think that I do go back to the George Graham era with certain players. When you look at people like Mesut Ozil, Charlie Nicholas, same sort of player, big favourites with the fans, but wasn't really into the way that the manager foresee them going, and were dumped. It's as simple as that, and whether you like it or not, for the better of the club. And the proof was in the pudding because Arsenal become successful. So, and I think that under Arsene Wenger, he done it a little bit himself. He had a little look at things for a year, and then he made changes. He made big changes, bringing in over Miles Petit, letting people like, again, fans' favourites like Paul Merson go. So I do see a lot of similarities, and I honestly think that what I think is good about it is that Mikel Arteta, I think, has had a little look at what happened with Emery as well, and thought to himself, well, I ain't going down that route, and I'm going to be successful, and if I'm going to be successful here, I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to make my stance on what's going to be done, and I think at the I've just seen that Charlie Nicholas, by the way, dumped by Sky today, so he's been
Matt Letizia, and the other lad,
Phil Thompson.
Phil Thompson,
Paul Merson was the only one to survive, wasn't he? So Paul Merson was the only one. Yeah, so let's,
he loves himself some Charlie Nicholas. We know that.
Yeah, so I do love a bit of Charlie Nicholas, and I just think that is really Mikel Arteta has said, I'm going to be doing it my way, and if you want to, and I think it's a great thing. When it was used when I was playing as well. If you want to be on the bus, get on the ride. And see where that bus takes you, or you get off. And like the thing is, when a new manager comes in, you all jump on that bus together, and there are going to be people that get off at this certain points of the journey. And I think that this is what Mikel Arteta has done. Now, unfortunately, for players like Mesut Ozil, they haven't got to the first bus stop. You know what I mean? And they've been dumped. So. And I think, and also, Craig, which is a big point, I think there is going to be casualties that we're not going to agree with.
Yes.
Whether it be Maitland-Niles or certain other players, we're going to have to bite the bullet and take that. And I think that certainly happened with Arsene Wenger, because I can tell you that now. I don't know about what Graham and Mike feel, but when Paul Merson was dumped, I wasn't very happy about it, because I thought that season under Arsene Wenger in his first season.
Don't worry about how I felt about it. Yeah, don't worry about how I felt. Just my
yourself. Carry on. Do you know what? I'm gonna be really honest with you here, Craig. I'm looking at them as older generation and you younger. See, so take it as a compliment, my son. Take it as a compliment.
I'm not the one turning 53 on Friday.
Yes. All right, Mike. Haven't said nothing, and it's been disrespect already. So
because I haven't seen you in a long time. We got a lot of
I was unhappy when Charlie George was dumped. So that puts me in the old fogey category, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't remember that one, Graham. But these are things that are going to have to happen. These are things that are going to have to happen. I think, for us to move on. I just want to quickly go into it. The Liverpool fans, I spoke to a few of them today. Did they really want to see Coutinho go? No, they didn't. But was it for the better for the club? Look at them now.
Yes, it was.
So I think that we're going to have to maybe take a few hits as well on players that we like. That's how I see it.
Absolutely.
We can't complain. We can't complain that we never sell players, and then complain when we sell players that we want that actually have value.
Well, look, we're Arsenal fans. We'll just complain for the fun of it. Mike, Mikel Arteta, when he first came to the club, everyone was saying the same thing. Everyone fell for him after his first press conference. We all said it after the first press conference. Everyone was, he gets it. Not that, forget that he played for us, forget that he probably knows the club inside out, but the things he was saying about what he wanted to do when he was here. Over the pond, American Arsenal fans, you must be talking to your buddies. What's the general feeling on Mikel Arteta in America?
Extremely positive. I'd say there's virtually no disagreement. And, as there was, Arsenal in America was a split 50-50 on Arsene Wenger during that whole time period as any other place in the world was. I don't think you see much of a split when it comes to Arteta. Arteta's press conference was amazing, but it meant nothing until he actually started backing up what he did, what he was saying. And he has so far, in my opinion, done that. It takes time. It's been very little time. He's been with the club as coach for 8 months, and 3 of those were lost to COVID. So, but every single thing that we've seen, trend wise, personality wise, buy-in from the players, It just seems to point towards this is a project that is actually in process.
Mm-hmm.
And, I don't know, kind of taking a step back to what Graham and Lee were talking about, I don't know that the buy-in from the players is as significant as if we don't have Unai Emery and the diabolical failure to get the players behind him for the year and a half or so that he was here. I just don't know that happens if you're the person after Arsene Wenger. It's just a logical thing. You didn't get that at United after Alex Ferguson left. You don't get that generally after a legendary coach and father figure to the club leaves. And so, I'm glad that Arteta wasn't hired right out of the gate, because he would have had pressure and there would have been this hangover situation. Arteta was unfortunately the hangover cure. And by the time he was gone and Arteta came back in with a head full of steam and the right things coming out of his mouth, the players were in a position to say, we need this leadership. We need this structure. We believe this guy has Arsenal in his blood, and we'll listen to what he says. And so I think the timing was perfect in how it ended up happening. And as for whether he is doing things in a Wenger-esque style, absolutely he is, but in the good ways that we need him to. The two things that caused Wenger to kind of get stale towards the end, in my opinion, was the amount of control he was given over every decision, which was largely due to the fact that there was a battle over ownership. There was no whole, complete owner, and he was essentially the one stability in the team from the late 2000s into 2018. And why not just give him the reins and let him do what he's going to do? But the problem is the game kind of got past him, in my opinion, and he still had that amount of power, and everything started going down. That isn't going to be the case with Arteta, although they've consolidated a little bit more power under him with Raul leaving. He doesn't have the final decision-making on everything. He isn't the club like Arsene Wenger was the club in the absence of other leadership. And the game hasn't passed Arteta by. He's learned from the best. Mm-hmm. Arteta has learned from first Wenger, then Pep. He's young. He's got new ideas. He's got motivation, and he's molding the team into his own style. And the elements of that start to remind you of Arsene Wenger in a positive way, as far as
absolutely. That's what I mean. Graham, I'll come to you on that. Mike, Graham, I'll come to you there. Mike raises a really good point there about Arteta being in this era of football. Like when Arsene Wenger came, there is no doubt in my mind that when he first came to Arsenal, he didn't just revolutionise Arsenal; he revolutionised football in England. Everyone started to copy him. Everyone started to copy his ways. He knocked Manchester United off the perch. He came from Japan. We were all saying, "Who's this bloke? Oh my God!" We've turned down Johan Cruyff. I think was it Johan Cruyff we were linked with before him. He comes in, completely revolutionises football in the UK, completely revolutionises Arsenal Football Club. But then, as football starts to come up behind him, he kind of lost his way a bit, didn't he? And he was too stubborn to change his ways. And other managers were getting to grips with the modern way of football. Now we've got a manager that knows the modern way of football, and he's bringing it in with him.
Yes, that's a good point. And I think just to add something to what Mike said, I think football evolved, but Wenger didn't evolve with the way the game was evolving. I think that's worth saying. I think what Arteta brings to the fact is that he's obviously a very bright, intelligent young coach. And I think football is changing now. It's not, if you think back to what Wenger, the football in Wenger's era, it was all about possession-based. It was all technical skill. And I think what we've seen in the last few years is as other clubs have got more money coming into the game, is what you need in football now is pace, power, and athleticism. And I think they are key things because, if you can have technical players, and Mesut Ozil is a case in point, but if you can't run, if you can't do the off-the-ball work, in modern football, you struggle because football now for me is more than ever played in transition. and it's all about sort of like what you do off the ball to get the ball back. And even the top teams who have got skill do work incredibly hard to get the ball back. And I think that Arteta recognised that when he come in. He talked about there wasn't energy in the club, there wasn't energy on the pitch. So he talked about these non-negotiables that he had to do. He talked about wanting to build a culture, laying a foundation, and every player buying into the same direction, every player wanting to work hard for the team. And that's the ethic that he's brought to the club, and that's what you're seeing on the pitch. And I think football's changed now from what we talked about when Wenger and Ferguson were at their peak. And I think this is the way football is now. It's all about hard work off the ball. And this is why I think the Willian signing is typical of what he wants. I know we say that, you know, a 3-year deal for a guy at 32 is probably not probably what we want to see but we have got a lot of young players. But you know, it's well known that Willian wanted to stay at Chelsea, possibly, but he wanted a 3-year deal. They're only willing to give him a 2. And that's why, you know, in effect, Arsenal were willing to give him a 3. But the thing I like about what Arteta said to him, and Mike might know that this gentleman, I'm a big fan of this guy, Mike McDonald, who does sort of Gunners Town stuff. He's a superb writer. And I follow him quite a lot on Twitter. And he talked about Arteta's 3-year plan. And it was interesting that Willian talked about that, didn't he, when he signed for Arsenal. Players are attracted to Arsenal now because of Arteta. And I always thought that the problem we had with Emery was I was worried that we wouldn't attract the right sort of players. And it's funny that this Gabriel was another signing who basically was being courted by Man United. And all of a sudden he's attracted to the project, what Mikel Arteta's selling to him. So obviously Mikel Arteta is not only a bright young coach, but he's got pulling power already from what he's achieved in the game already. And it's interesting, he had that conversation with William around the 3-year deal, Craig. And I think we are looking at the Arteta plan. We really is looking at this plan of a 3-year deal. I think the first year is to try and compete to get back into the top 4. The second year is sort of like to challenge for the Premier League and to get established in the Champions League. And the third year is to be good enough to possibly try and win the Premier League or the Champions League. I think it might sound ambitious, but I think you've got to have those goals. And I think Arteta, he's looking at these players. He wants them to be hungry. He wants to set them targets. And the good thing is we've already know as well what he brings to the table now is communication. We talked about this in the last pod, not just communicating on the sideline with players in different languages. He communicates with players individually, and he's a tremendous communicator. You see it in his press conferences. And we talked about the way he won us over in that first press conference. But I think the change he's brought is he recognises, and I will make this point, I think he recognises, and this is a failing we've had at Arsenal for years. We had it failed to have it at the end of the Arsenal. We didn't have it at the end of the Arsenal Wenger reign. Is the players love being on the ball, but they didn't like being off the ball. And what he says, this is a non-negotiable. When you haven't got possession, you've got to win the ball back. And this is what he's expecting from every player. He doesn't care about your technical ability. Well, he does, obviously. But what I'm saying is he cares more about what you do when you're off the ball. And it's all about working for the team, Craig. And I think that's what he brought to Arsenal Football Club very quickly.
Absolutely. Mike, before we come to Lee, you've just put something in the chat there now. So we're going to come back to you, and I want you to tell the boys and the girls who watch us. So I'm just going to bring this up here now. Any of you out there that are budding FIFA players, here we are. Go for it, Mike. Take it away.
We, like I was saying, we want to raise as much money as we can, but we don't want it to just be dry. And you know, we've got some connections and we've got some ideas, and we want people to have fun and get something out of their donation. So we have set up the first annual Gooners versus podcast. Sometimes I feel like that when we're doing our
same
podcast. But, the first annual Gooners versus Cancer FIFA charity tournament. It's a Champions League format. We've got one for the PS4, which the post that has the link for that. One for the Xbox. So whatever platform you play on, there's a tournament for you. And the registrations are open today and tomorrow and early on Friday. They close midday on Friday. So it's important to get your entry in soon. You'll be donating $20 to the charity, which should work out to maybe 15 quid over there. Again, you can use your credit card. Once you do that and register for the tournament, you're in. It's going to be Champions League format with a group stage. So you'll get 6 games guaranteed, and then a knockout stage all the way to the final. And there's prizes in it for everybody. If you win the whole thing, you'll get a copy of 2021 FIFA Ultimate Edition. And if you already have that, we'll just give you the cash equivalent. Second place will get, I believe, your entry fee back. Everybody that enters is entered in a raffle from which will be picked a first-team signed jersey by Arsenal that Arsenal has donated to us.
Nice.
So, there's whether you don't score a goal and you...
That's worth a 15 quid entry on its own.
Yeah. It's an entry into a raffle for it. At the end of September, we'll be picking a winner. So you have an opportunity to win something that you can put up on your wall like Lee has behind him. We'll also be we'll be auctioning off Lee's dartboard. He doesn't know this yet. We're going to be auctioning off Lee's dartboard. And it's just, again, it's a good way to have fun. So there's really no reason not to compete against we're trying to get other podcasters to do it. We're trying to get anybody involved in the team, and anyone that's watching that fancies.
I'd love to enter that, but I just embarrass myself so bad. I'm so bad at FIFA; it's unbelievable.
Well, let's put it this way: if you have the game and you're planning on donating $20 worth anyway, you might as well do it.
I might as well do it.
And then you're in for the kit. Then you're in for the kit. So
then I'm in for the kit.
Play the tournament will take place. It's meant to start the day after the Charity Shield, and finish, if not before, it'll finish the day before our first game of the season.
I take it your son is organising all this, Mike, is he?
I'm organizing it. He's playing, but
Okay.
He's playing on behalf of our mate Joey Murphy in Denver, who will be the winner if Jake wins, because we don't believe in nepotism here at the Gooners versus Cancer. So my son will play, but he cannot win.
Oh, look, here we are. Look. Is this something we could auction off, perhaps? 1 second there now. No, get that off there now. No. Sorry, not get that off. Thank you very much for that kind comment, but that's not the one that I wanted to put up. The Harry Thomas. Thank you very much for that kind comment. Here, look, is this something we can sort out?
Well, Lee actually did help us last year with our auction.
Look at this, Lee. Someone wants a Lee Judge's signed.
Look at that.
Isn't that a little redundant? I mean, a mug, signed mug.
Yeah, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
He's playing golf now. What about a round with Judge?
Round with the Judge, yeah.
Around with the Judge.
Yeah, so.
Last year, Judge, do you remember? Lee was.
I did some things I had to do. I had to do all names of all difficult players, and
we had 2 things that were bid on in our auction. The first one is he had to pronounce. I gave him 11 worldwide footballers, and he had to pronounce them on the podcast.
How did he get right?
Oh, I mean, and I ended up making some players up, like Haywood, you can go back and watch it if you look. I'll send you guys the link, because it's actually really, really funny to watch. And then has
he got Upamecano right?
Never. He's not.
I think they even get Aubameyang right. You know what I mean?
You finally started saying Aubameyang. The second one is we had him read various passages from the 50 Shades of Grey generator online. So if you want to hear Lee Judge's whispering sexy passages to you over a podcast, and who doesn't want that? Maybe we'll do that again this year.
People die for that, Mike, when they die, So we'll do something, and I'll try and find something that we can donate. And
we've actually got a donation question in here. Obviously, this is from Arsene Wenger, because he obviously watches the podcast every week. When was the last time you sang my name? The last time I sang your name was probably
after an FA Cup. Maybe FA Cup.
Maybe, and I'd had a few beers at that. So
quickly,
thanks for that, Arsene. Anyway,
Lee, the last game. The last game against Burnley, wasn't it? His last game. Were you singing his name then?
He didn't even stay till the end.
I think I did. No, I did.
Mike,
I did. I was
there's a
up in
question
the,
there, Mike. Where's what FIFA and where's the link? Is it
All right.
FIFA 20? FIFA 20, obviously.
It's FIFA 20. It is it is both for the PS4 and the Xbox. I'm going to type the link into the chat.
Okay, lovely stuff.
And I do want to thank, just because I just checked out the page, and we've already got a donation from Tanner, aka the Bearded Gooner, who I know is one of your USA affiliates.
That's right.
Congratulations on that.
He's the host.
I'd say you're into our territory, but we've never had any territory. We have more people in the UK that watch that tune in than the US. I think that's just human nature. But no, Tanner is great people. Thank you for your donation, let's keep it going.
Big up, Tanner. And while we're on that subject, I believe the pilot show is coming very soon. For the same old Arsenal USA. Tanner, to be fair, has been working very hard the last couple of weeks, getting all these graphics ready and all that for the Twitter, and he's getting his green screen stuff sorted out, and he's getting his crew together. So look out for that. That first show will be coming very, very shortly. You can follow them on Twitter at the same old AFC USA. Very clever, eh? Judges, let's get back to the Arsenal quickly for the last 15 minutes, and we're going to put a little banner up here. We're going to get some questions in the chat. We're going to press that button like that, and we'll get some questions in the chat, and we'll fire through them there for the last 15 minutes. 1st of September is the pilot show for the same old Arsenal USA. Lee, Aubameyang and Gabriel, what is going on? Every time I check something about Aubameyang, it's going to be at the end of the week. Every time I check something about Gabriel, his medical's been done.
They didn't say what week.
Yeah, exactly. This Gabriel scenario is starting to remind me of Villa when he was supposed to be signing for the Arsenal. I am getting a little bit twitchy about Aubameyang. And now especially after Mr. Messi's gone once out of Barcelona, it's leaving a bit of a hole over there, and I'm getting a bit worried.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's the same old Arsenal, isn't it? Dithering, look at Chelsea today.
Great name for a podcast.
Brilliant. Whoever thought of that, needs a pat on the back. Right,
genius, mate. Genius.
Genius. So, but what I'm saying is that with Chelsea, Chilwell, bang, you know what I mean? Like there was a link with him, and then there he is today holding the shirt. Now, my mate Ken has sent a message to me today showing me a picture of Gabriel on his Instagram showing him with the shirt. So saying that he's fed up with Arsenal waiting for do it, so he's done it himself. Now, I don't know if that is a genuine picture or not. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it.
Absolute Photoshop, mate. Sorry.
He had a shadow, though.
Massive Photoshop.
Huh?
Photoshop, completely fake.
Okay. Right, so what is the hold up? It's got to be done. I know that he's having a medical. I've seen him. There was a picture of him going into the London Coney training facility. So it should be done by now. But I've heard with the Aubameyang one, which is very interesting from a very good source, is that he's actually saying that he's prepared to sign. He's waiting but he wants to see what Arsenal are going to do with the signings first before committing, and I think that's fair enough. I don't see anything silly about that, So,
is it time we start criticizing Troops for not getting the deal done?
No, I think that
Agent Troops, come on, Troops.
Troops have said to me that they was talking about it, going to a game next season and all that. Like, if you ain't talking about that, you wouldn't be here. But don't forget. He's still got a year of his contract left, so in theory, he could be here next season without signing that contract. So, so I'm not really reading too much into that. I think that at the end of it, Arsenal have got to put their money where their mouth is. There is real positive talk about certain players coming to the club, and if those players are mentioned do come to the club, then it's going to be a really, really good place to be and an exciting place to be. You've got Gabriel and Saliba, two very, very young central defenders that have got all the potential to be top class. You've got good young fullbacks coming through in particularly at Tierney, and there's talk that Bellerin might be sold and Max Aaron's being bought in. So all of a sudden you've got a very, very young back four with lots of time on its side.
Judge, do you think they have Judge, do you think they've got to sell some players first to raise some funds before they can buy them?
Massively.
No, massively. Yeah, they've got to sell some players as well.
But do you think they're going to sell the players first? That's the point.
Well,
that makes absolutely no sense.
I think what they've got to do is get the players on board first. And if it means the owner putting his money in for a few weeks and then taking it back when those players are sold, then why not do it like that? You know, so I think that it's very, very. I think sometimes, you know, there's a lot of negotiating going on. It's we're in a little bit of a different. We are in a little bit of a different boat to say like Chelsea. That if Leicester can quote 50 million, that they're going to go and get it. But don't forget with Chelsea that they have not had been able to spend the money, and they've still got the Hazard money in the bank. So it's a little bit easier for them to splash the cash, and perhaps it is us. I don't know, but listen, I'm going to stay very, very positive that Mikel Arteta turned around and said that the board are going to back him, and he's no reason to lie to that. And everybody says, "Oh, let's trust in Arteta." So I'm going to believe what he says. And if he says that the owners are going to back him, then that's good enough for me. And I feel that it will be a very, very rewarding transfer window. If it's not, then it's as simple, lads. We're going to be where we were this season, last season, the season before, and get used to it.
Then the planes start flying.
Yeah, we move on.
What do you think is going to happen with the goalkeeping situation with Leno and Martinez?
I'll come in there. Goalkeepers Union and all that. Martinez cannot be dropped.
No, he can't be dropped. But what we've got here is a situation that we're talking about.
How can we keep two elite goalkeepers?
Exactly. Two goalkeepers that at least one of them, and let's not mention names, but one of them is going to be at least worth £30 million. Now, can Arsenal afford to have a £30 million player just playing cup games? So I think the decision might have to be made there, and maybe say bring in. I'm not saying do this, but maybe sell one of them and bring in a more experienced goalkeeper for a free transfer, something like that. I think
we've got Matt Macey, haven't we? Matt Macey could step up. Matt Macey. He could step in as a deputy.
Exactly. So I think Arsenal are sitting on themselves on 30 million there, you know. So it's going to be very interesting how they do that. But don't ask me to say which one there. I think Martinez is quite clearly what Craig has said there, does not deserve to be dropped from this football team. And if he is dropped from this football team, that tells me a lot about things. Is it that, you know, when they turn around and say, well, you know, like you're owning the shirt, you know, back in my day, that's how it was. So I feel that Martinez deserves to be in the team at the moment on merit, and that's nothing against Leno.
And I tell you what, Martinez is worth £30 million of anyone's money.
Yeah, he's been absolutely outstanding.
Everyone's talking about Leno being worth 30 million. Yeah, everyone's talking about Leno being worth 30 million. Martinez is worth £30 million of anyone's money, and I stand by that. Keys has been a revelation in goal. He's gone above and beyond all my expectations. I think he's been absolutely outstanding. And I'm going to be honest now, if we go on the best goalkeeper from lockdown to the end of the season, he was the best in the league by a country mile.
Unbelievable with the ball at his feet. You know, think about the difference when the ball would go back to our goalkeeper between Petr Cech and him. Leno's not bad, but I mean, Emmy's like an 11th attacker almost with the ball, and his commanding is unbelievable. The way, like in the cup final there, when he plucked that ball out when he went down and got injured, when I don't think he was really that badly injured, but I think he went down and wasted a few seconds. It was a game-winning. People talk about players scoring goals and stuff, but to have the confidence to come out and actually jump as high as he did and take that ball as high as he did, it was some catch, and it was a game-winning catch. At the end of the Liverpool game.
Yeah, do you know and that save at the end of the Liverpool game as well? Yeah, brilliant one to bring up. What a save! People are trying to tell me I was going wide. He didn't know that.
It wasn't going wide.
It weren't going wide. It was going in. Graham, let's bring these questions in. We'll fire these off. Graham, Lee, thanks for your question, mate. A long-time viewer of the show. Thank you very much. Hope you're all well up there in Dublin. Lee, Graham, what do you make of the rumours of Dennis Bergkamp coming in as a coach to Arsenal?
Well, obviously, I heard the rumours. I think it'd be great if it happened. Obviously, I don't know where it sits with the flying, because obviously he doesn't want to fly, does he? But, I don't know if it's true or not, but I think it'd be fantastic if Dennis Bergkamp came in. He's an absolute legend of the club, and he would galvanise the club. The things that he could pass on to players, it would, that would be unbelievable for the players of the club. I just hope it's true. I'd love to see Bergkamp, and I want the greats, the legends of the club, back at the club.
Absolutely. Lee, what about you, mate? The thought of Dennis Bergkamp being back at Arsenal.
100%. The only thing that's a little bit of a worry about is obviously he won't be able to fly. But do they have to worry about that if he's doing the business on the coaching field at London Colney? I think that. Totally agree with what Graham said. I think that we need to bring in these legend sort of players and keep them involved in the club. And Dennis Bergkamp would be a fantastic addition. I think also what's good about Dennis Bergkamp is that I don't think he's got ambitions to be a head coach. I think he wants to just be a coach. So I think it's a perfect fit.
Absolutely. Mike, we'll bring this one in. This comes in from the Harry Thomas. Thank you very much for your kind donation, Harry. That's 2 portions large fries, Lee. Lovely.
Lovely. Thank you.
Does Gabriel and Saliba start together in the back 4?
Well, admittedly, you're not asking the most tactically sound person in the world, but I mean, I don't think that we bought the 2 of them to regularly ride the bench. And be an injury substitution. So I think ultimately, it's almost a guarantee that at some point in September, people are going to start to complain. Well, I'm blown away, but I'm distracted now. But in any case, people are going to start complaining when they see David Luiz on the screen, on the pitch. So.
Yeah, get professional, will you? Professional.
All it took was one picture to throw me completely off my game, but you will see David Luiz on the weekend. You'll see him probably a lot in our first 4 or 5 games, and that's not a bad thing. But ultimately, if those 2 are healthy, is there a reason why, with their left-footed versus right-footedness, that we wouldn't see them in the middle of a 4?
Yeah, I think what we've got to do, though, is collectively, I know, as a fan base, everyone's talking, if Gabriel he hasn't even signed yet, and we're talking about him playing, but we must remember that these 2 boys have never played Premier League football before. They've never played together before. I think a lot of people, Graham, I'll come to you on this one, I think a lot of people are starting to hype these boys up too much before they've even kicked a ball for the Arsenal.
And Arteta will protect them. Arteta will protect them against that.
Yeah. I think Mike's right. The trouble is we've been struggling for decent centre backs. Our best centre backs at the moment are centre backs who are not playing. So the fact that they haven't really played yet, Gabriel and Saliba, would make them already probably people thinking that they are our best centre back combination. But I think what you have to understand is Saliba is still very young. He's only about 18, is he?
19.
Yeah, and I think Mikel Arteta will ease him in, and I think it is definitely the future Arsenal centre back combination if Gabriel signs, and it will be probably before the end of the season. I think Luiz is in the final year of his deal. He's got a 1-year deal, but I think Luiz will be pivotal in bringing these 2 boys on, because I know William was talking about it, and I think the club recognised Luiz's leadership qualities in the way he sort of like encourages and develops young players, and he'll be pivotal in getting these boys and understanding what the Premier League's all about. So I see Luiz playing a role probably alongside the more experienced one to start with. I see it ultimately, though, becoming the Arsenal centre-back combination in time. It won't be, I think, in a 4 at the moment. I think Arteta will stick with the 5 at the back.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we've still got. I mean, it's just come in there from Curtis. Thanks, Curtis. We've still got Pablo Mari.
He's got not to be forgotten.
You know, great point. I think that it's a Cedric can play centre half as well, I believe. So there's a question that comes in from Colorado Gooner. Lee, with Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Klosniak potentially leaving, are we worried about left back depth?
No, because Sacco can play there.
That's what I was thinking. But I think the question more is, is two enough? Is Saka, if Tierney's injured and Saka's playing somewhere else on the pitch, we have to take Saka away from that position to play him left back?
Well, that's when Maitland-Niles becomes I think, is an important part because he can play in sort of multiple positions, so that's where his versatility comes in. But, that's how I see it.
The other thing with Mikel Arteta is it's all about the system, the structure, and he gets players playing in positions where he develops them so they become like hybrid footballers. They are multifunctional. They can play in different systems. They can play in. So I suspect he's got that base covered. There must be somebody I don't think he would allow that to happen.
You've also got Granit Xhaka, who's played at left back a few times in his career.
Good call, Mike. He done all right when he played there.
Cool.
So
this one comes in from Gooner Glenn. Do you think we'll sign Thomas Partey? No. Anyone else?
No, and I'm gonna absolutely love all of the ITKs on Twitter who have said that deal is done. Just eating their words when we don't sign. Look, I'd rather us sign them than me laugh at ITKs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me just make that clear. But there's something going on there, because if he's as good as people say he is, even though at the end of his 4 or 5 years he most likely won't have a tremendous amount of resale value, forget that for a second. If he's as good as people are saying he is, £45 million is nothing. Why are we the only club that's linked with him, and we're supposedly waiting around? We're supposedly, we've told him we're gonna do the release clause. We've already agreed personal terms, which is bullshit.
I'm with you. £45 million is peanuts for a footballer nowadays.
And to double back on something that Graham said, the concept of we have to sell players to raise money prior to being able to release a clause is absolute bullshit. It's bollocks, in fact.
Absolutely.
And it's shite. It's all of those things. And
the other thing.
Sorry if you're watching this with your families after.
Oh, sorry. It's tosh.
Can I come in, Craig?
You can.
Kingdom.
Ring the bell. Ring the bell now. Ring the bell now.
I think obviously it's all speculation, Judge, but this Partey thing, I think he's probably negotiated himself a better deal with the club he's at through linking himself to Arsenal. But the fact that we're looking at alternatives to him, I think, aren't we? What's the name of that Leon midfielder, Judge? Can you pronounce his name? Husiam? What's it? Aurora? How you say it?
Well, I think he's come out and publicly stated that he doesn't want to leave Leon this year. He wants to go and play for Juventus. Yeah. We'll
see what happens. We'll see what
happens. Look, we're 2 weeks away from the start.
We don't need any of these guys because we have Mo El Neni.
Exactly, the return of the Egyptian prince. Yeah. And what a goal last night. What a goal.
El Neni won't cost us 50 million quid.
Yeah, do you know what, right? I would love to see him come in and just totally. I know it's not going to happen, but I'd love for him to come in and be a massive answer to all our problems. I love him. I love El Neni. I love
it. Like when Coquelin came back, but twice as good.
The grief that fella has taken from our fan base. He came in for £5 million.
Yeah, I think it's been a bargain.
And 30,000 a week or something like that. Which I think he's still on 30,000 a week.
He's done bloody well for us. You know what I mean? Considering not
£5 million. Got himself a goal at the Nou Camp and scored a screamer last night at MK Don Stadium. I mean, he's
Lionel Messi has never scored against Barcelona and MK Dons.
Absolutely.
El Neni can say that.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you one thing on Lionel Messi. We'd have to sell the stadium to buy him, but you know what's going to happen, don't you? I think the Barcelona board are going to go, aren't they? That's what's going to happen. It's there's a saying that no player is bigger than a club.
Well,
if you had to say one player was bigger than the club, you'd say Messi, wouldn't you?
He's Moscow L Club. He's
really.
Do you really want Messi though? Like, do you really want him? Like, but this is a little bit about his character. He's been fantastic with Barcelona. Just as soon as they have a little rough spot, he wants out.
True. Just imagine the way I was looking at it last night when I was thinking about it. Imagine the money he would make this football club.
Oh, unbelievable!
Imagine the shirts we'd sell with his name on the back.
Yeah,
imagine the endorsements. But it's the endorsements he will bring across with him. I mean, Adidas. I think I read a report there that Adidas. Oh, I was reading something there that's Adidas paid. Oh, I'm gonna have to tweet it out later. I read a report there. Something. The man is so big that Adidas paid out multiple millions of pounds just to get I think it was something to do with his boots or something.
Michael Jordan is jealous of his pulling power from a commercial standpoint.
Yeah. It was something to do with
all his commercial pulling power and his wages. I think he's on £1 million a week. You know that?
Yeah. Only Lee, I'm going to say this, judges. Only an Arsenal fan would turn down Lionel Messi. Only Arsenal fans would turn down Lionel Messi.
Listen, I'd never turn down Lionel Messi. Yeah. Like if he was come to Arsenal, everybody'd be happy with it because he is a fantastic footballer. But what I'm saying about Lionel Messi is that he's had it all his own way. We've been in some fantastic teams for a very, very long while. But as soon as it gets a bit rough over there, one bad season, he wants out, and I question that.
Yeah, it's a good point.
I question
it is a good point. I think realistically, if he's coming to the Premier League, he's only going to one team. There's only one team. I think that
of course it is. We know that
it's Manchester City. So,
what do you think Ronald Koeman's thinking? Going there as manager and loses Messi. That'd be unbelievable, wouldn't it?
Unbelievable. First thing to happen to him. This comes in from Mike Hertz. Thank you very much, Mike.
Yeah, well, Mike.
No question, gents. No question, gents, because I'm afraid of Lee calling it a stupid question. Laughing out loud. Just wanted to show my support. Thanks very much indeed.
Was it our podcast that first made its way? That's a stupid question.
Yeah.
I believe
he said it. Yeah, he said it a couple of times here as well. I think without saying. Yeah, look, I mean, this is one reason not to sign Messi.
There's only 3 teams that can afford. Yeah, 3 teams I think that can afford Messi. Can I Messi? Yeah, that is right. No resale value. He's not going to be worth it. But there's only 3 teams that can afford Lionel Messi, and that is obviously
Juventus,
PSG.
No, I was going to say Sutton United,
Chelsea, and Man City. Chelsea.
Imagine if he went to Juventus, Ronaldo and Messi in the same team. Imagine that, just for 1 year.
Can I ask a question? Speaking of dream teams, where the hell is Dan Potts today? Dan talk about leaving when the going gets rough. He knew I was coming on. He couldn't.
Well, that's probably why he was probably afraid, mate. To be honest with you,
couldn't be ours to show up. I got to tell you a funny story about Dan. Do you have a minute?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I forgot what game it was. It was early, right after the restart, and a bunch of us who are in a WhatsApp chat together. We were on a Zoom watching the game, as people tend to do these days. And one of the people on the Zoom, and I won't give her name away, but at least a couple of you know her. She was so on red wine and God knows what else. She's dancing around during the game. She's at halftime. She's straight away running around and just being just being hilarious the entire time. And at one point, you can see her leaning into the camera and squinting, and she goes, "Oh, Dan, is that your wife? She's gorgeous." And everyone on the call starts just absolutely dying. And she's like, "What's her name?" And Dan's like, "Her name is Steve, and she's my father." It was his dad, Steve, who by the way seems like a lovely guy, and who we now call his dad wife. And God, that was probably the hardest I've laughed since the coronavirus started. But and a special shout out, since Dan is in here, a special shout out to his sister.
Dan's a great man. You need to be looking forward to Dan's. Dan will be doing his new show as well this season.
Graham, isn't he?
He's doing something with Graham. Yeah, we won't say too much about it because, like we've all.
That's if Dan can get a word in.
I love Dan almost as much as his sister loves me. Dan is doing his own thing. He doesn't have to come to me. I've already told him that. Dan has the full power, power to do as he wants. He never has to put anything past me. So Dan will be bringing. He's done really, really well last season with the Pots preview, so I believe that he wants to take it to the next level. So next season, we're going to be bringing you 3 shows a week, lads. The Monday night podcast, then on Tuesday, I believe it's going to be Tuesday nights, the same old Arsenal USA in USA time, which makes a bit of sense. And then I believe it's either a Wednesday or a Friday. Friday. You'll have Dan on. So three shows a week. Next,
EastEnders.
I know. So yeah, we're going to leave it there. We're going to leave it there. It's been fantastic. Remember, if you're watching this evening, if we could all donate £1 to the link, I'm going to put links directly below www.goonersversuscancer.com. If we all donated just £1, we'd make a massive difference to Mike's charity. Charity Shield. Talking of charity Shield at the weekend. Liverpool. We'll do a quick fire result prediction. Graham, go.
Well, I can't do a quick one. I will say.
At least he knows his limitations.
Ask my wife on that one.
That's why she loves him.
I can't do a quick one on anything, Judge, can I? Can I just say?
I won't have my bloody dinner yet. Come on, I've just got to come on. Hurry up.
He's got chicken waiting for him.
You never get a word in, Judge, when you're on this pod. You know that. Look, Craig. First of all, has everyone smashed that like button tonight? That's what I'm saying.
I don't think so. I think we've only got 81. So if we can, come on, let's get the likes up, please. Thank you very much indeed. That would be great. Hit it now.
Charity Shield, Craig. I've got to go Arsenal win, and so we've got a great record in the Charity Shield. So I'm going to say we're going to nick it 2-1.
Lovely, Judge.
3-1 Liverpool. Too good for us.
Oh.
What?
Too good for us. We beat them 4 weeks ago. Anyway,
I think it depends. Listen, I think it depends.
We're weaker than what we was last season. Okay.
I think it depends. It depends what team we put out, what team Liverpool put out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We don't know what.
That does help, Graham. Yeah, that does help. Yeah.
Mike.
5-4 Arsenal in penalties.
Oh, I like that.
I'm going to go. Familiar result.
I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal. Aubameyang, 87th minute winner. Overhead kick, runs to the touchline, gets out a clipboard and a pen, goes over to the camera and goes, signed the thing, done, dusted.
I used to say something like when Alexis, before he turned into an absolute wanker, I used to say at halftime, just like instead of going into the dressing room, just pull out wheelbarrows full of cash, bring them onto the pitch, and be like, "Here you go.
It's all yours."
I think that would have worked.
I gotta love the way the people started doing the GoFundMe though for the wages. Absolutely brilliant. I love this fan base. I really do. I mean, we've got people sending Lionel Messi DMs on Twitter on why he should come to Arsenal. What a fan base! I love it.
The memes about us showing up at Barcelona headquarters with the 8 million quid.
Absolutely brilliant. What a fan base. A pleasure to be involved. Thank you very much for you all watching us live. 236 of you I hear. Thank you very much indeed. It's very, very humbling. I can see someone over my shoulder here. If I move this way.
Hey.
Oh yeah, who's that?
Bobby.
Come on, come and say hello to everyone.
It's Bobby Perez.
This is my boy Bobby in his Cork jersey.
Hey, Bobby. Oh, look at that. Hey.
Hi.
What's going on, Bobby?
Hello. How are we? All right?
Hello, everyone in the chat. We're going to leave it there. Thanks for everyone. Let's hope for a positive result in the Charity Shield. Not too sure if we're going to meet up on Monday to talk about it. We'll have a little discussion there over the weekend. I'm sure we'll do. We might do something.
Bank holiday Monday, mate, isn't it?
Bank holiday, yeah. So I'm sure we'll do. I'm sure we'll get together. We'll do something if we can get a crew together. If we're not doing anything. Again, thanks for the support. Remember to support Gooners versus Cancer. My thanks to Graham. Thank you very much, mate.
Privilege as always, Craig. Thanks a lot.
My thanks to the judge, as always. My Ants to my Deck, my Laurel to my Hardy. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
And of course, our special guest all the way from America this evening, and the founder of Gooners versus Cancer, a massively good charity. If we could all help him along his way, it would mean a lot to me and a lot to us all at the same old Arsenal, and I'm sure it would mean a lot to him. Mike, thanks very much for joining us, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure having you here. It's been too long, actually. We're going to have to do something next season,
and that goes in reverse as well.
Absolutely, it's been far too long, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
Take care, bud. It's much appreciated what you do, and your show continues to be fantastic.
Thank you very much, mate. Until we see you all again, let's hope for a positive result, and we'll see you all next week. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other.
Only Arsenal.